Good morning, friends. Happy Pune. Quite humbled by the invitation by the Queen of Steel, Monica ji, and the August gathering here. Quite moved. Turn the story back a decade ago. Steel traders were not invited to conferences and speak. And Monica ji, I think, took it up personally and said, no, we need right representation. And thank you to having me over here to express a very passionate topic, Steel Service Center. You've heard from Jagdeep ji about how important the connection is. And let me tell you a story how I started my life in the service center business. It was started ISN, which came as a joint venture. And that's the time we had cutters. And Ryerson introduced American technology into how automotive steel should be used. And next company I'd like to mention is POSCO, who took Triveni in its fold and introduced how servicing has to be done. They're the two companies who actually forged my thought process on servicing, connecting the last mile, and creating value for the end user. And the Koreans once told me, we've come to India not to invest, but to make the entire ecosystem go beyond, from a cutting house to a service center place. And I think if you remember Mr. Bang, who came in as managing director of IPPC and churned the entire story. So POSCO has 6 service centers across India, and they do standalone business. How many of us know that service centers connect the last mile, are actually shock absorbers to the end user? The manufacturer's job is to produce steel, produce in quantum, in quality, and deliver it to the service center. Service center acts as a, you can say, as a supermarket. If you want a specific grade, do you want a special quantum, do you want it packed in particular quantity of a 2-ton packet, 1-ton packet, shift-wise, is made available. That's their job. And if the manufacturer is expected to do the job, it's going to fail. And this is why we come in and give the validation of steel. Going back to the learning curve, this entire conference of service centers started around 4 years ago on a webinar. And Monica called me up and said, Ashirwad, how many of us need steel? I said, all of us produce steel and need steel. Then how does the steel get sold? I said, we have distributors. But again, we have age-old distributors. Father, grandfather are distributor of a particular company. They cut the steel or whatever form it is in the trade. And the webinar actually changed the way manufacturers look at the distribution model and made it compulsory. And Tata Steel, again, did that, where service center was very important, integral part of your distribution model. And going forward, I had a lot of people come and approach me. How do we put up a service center? We've got Mr. Sunil Gupta here, Bhavin, who's put up a long steel service center. And in the last conference, we discussed about how important the service center is. And when you connect the dots, the last mile, the only thing which comes is connecting the dot to the last mile. And Monica took that connection very, very well. What is, India produces 150 million tons, 50% would be flat products, and the balance 30% would be long products. So flat products, if you're going to produce 75 million tons, what's the service center capacity the country's got? I think 30, 40 million tons of organized service center. The balance would be cutters. So people here, the next big business would be service centers. The next big deal would be service centers in tier 2 cities. I would say Coimbatore, Trichy, Pune, Sangli, Baroda, Jaipur, and world-class service centers. And things will change after that. A service center also creates value for these small-scale industries. which is very important. Small scale industry cannot invest in a 30-ton crane. It needs smaller lots of material. It needs to give credit. I think I've got Tata Capital here. I think, yes, Mr. Kamath had introduced channel finance for OEMs, partners. So they play a very, very important role. And we have, I think, online companies here today. I think I see somebody from JSW1. I think all these new age marketing companies coming in are creating value add and bring the cost of a product down. Just to wind up the session, I'd like to introduce my own company, Triveni Steel, Triveni Enterprises. We've been in the business for steel for 50 years. I'm third generation. We run one of the largest service centers in the country. Standalone, we don't have any tie-ups with anybody. We process steel for automotive companies, for panel board, for Tata Steel downstream, POSCO, Toyota, Honda. You name the company, we process steel too. And we have close to 12 machines. We do 0.3 to 25 mm, minimum with 28 mm to 2.5 meters. We do processing for high-grade steel like DP800, E450, chassis. So I would encourage everybody to look at our company, Triveni Steel. You would like to visit our plant, most welcome. We also have built one of the largest open-air malls in Bangalore called Ferro Hub and Ferro Hub Sports. The beauty of the structures is built on steel and tubular structure. First time introduced in India by Polo. 400 by 400, 16 mm thick columns were used, and decking sheet from JSW, 1.2, 100 mm depth. So the entire 1 lakh square foot used less than 800 tons of steel was completed in 9 months. So the beauty of steel is it's vibrant, it's beautiful, and the business is as nice as all of you guys here. So welcome to Pune and thanks a lot. Jai Hind.